Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening. No, it's afternoon still. My name is Mando Ortega, and you're listening to another episode of The Mind of Mando. How's everybody doing tonight? Just want to let you know that before we get started, that this episode is most likely just going to be a nerding out episode about Star Wars, primarily about Star Wars, and maybe some Moon Knight at the end. And yeah, that being said, throwing it back old school. Yeah, that's right. We are going back to September of 2008. I was 14 years old. I know I said it a couple episodes back about this, but this theme song means a lot. A lot. It's so iconic, I swear. So, the reason I'm playing this theme song is because it just occurred to me. So this theme song is from The Force Unleashed, the first one. Came out in September 2018. I spoke about it a few episodes back, how in that year, that month, I was 14 years old. 14 years old when me and my buddy skipped school the entire day. Just went around the entire city and then finished it off with going to the Force Unleashed launch party in Best Buy in San Francisco. Met the entire cast there, including Sam Witwer, including George Lucas. Got all their signatures and still play those games to this day. So I realized this. It's 2022. How do you say it? Yeah, it's 2022. In September of this year, this game is going to be 14 years old. That's insane. It's insane how much time has passed by since its release. I mean, to some of you it may not mean as much, but to me it means a lot, because it's like, this game is about to be 14 years old. The same exact age I was when it first came out. Since that iconic day, which, by the way, I'll post it up when I can, but there's a YouTube video out there, and you can see me and everything when I was 14, and I found some old photos. I'll post those up too. And yeah, it's insane. 14 years old. Can you imagine that? 14 years old. That's insane. This song back here is for General Coda. It's a song that plays whenever he appears on screen, especially when you're dueling him inside the control room on the ship. So, anyways, it's just a lot of Star Wars stuff has been happening lately. If you guys haven't noticed, just I think yesterday they dropped the recent Kenobi trailer, and let me tell you, it blew my mind. You know, we're about to jump into the Kenobi stuff right now. So basically, what the Kenobi series is supposed to be is, after Leia was taken by Senator Organa, with him and his wife to Alderaan, you have Luke, who was given to his Uncle Owen and his Aunt Beru in Tatooine. So this is taking place after Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, after Anakin had fallen to the dark side and has become Darth Vader in his iconic suit. This is taken before, like years and years before Episode 4. And I just love it how, you know, who knew, like, I don't think when George Lucas directed the first Force Unleashed not Force Unleashed, the first Star Wars movie ever back in the 70s, did anybody believe that the universe was going to expand so much? And, you know, here it is. Because, like, you know, in Episode 4, when when Luke sees a little piece of the hologram message where it says, where Princess Leia is like, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope," and everything like that. He was like, I wonder if he means old Ben Kenobi and everything. And then like his uncle was like, oh yeah, probably, I don't know. And then that was just it. That was just it. No one questioned at that point. And years after that, about Obi-Wan's history and everything. But finally, here we are getting official canon of those years in between episode 3 and 4. What was Obi-Wan up to? What was Obi-Wan doing in Tatooine all those years while Luke was growing up? He was watching over Luke, yeah, but like, was there anything else? Well, they introduced the Inquisitors years back in Star Wars Rebels. They continue the stories inside the comics. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order introduced more Inquisitors, and you're just seeing these Inquisitors popping up everywhere, who are meant to be out there trying to find other Jedis to kill them. So it's like, how do you say it? You have them introduced, and you see them in the trailers, and they're all like, yeah, no, we're going to be looking for Obi-Wan. What is Obi-Wan going to be doing? Obi-Wan wasn't just being a hermit, just chilling in his own house, keeping to himself. No, we're seeing clearly now that Obi-Wan had to deal with some stuff. And it's exciting, because in a little part of the trailer, you see Obi-Wan, which, fun little thing that I noticed, he's starting to sound like McGinnis, McGinnis and everything like that. When he played Obi-Wan originally back in the 70s. Hold on. What was it? So, how do you say it? What was it? It was like 1977, right? When the movie came out? Let me check it out real quick. Yeah, 1977. And it wasn't Ian McGinnis. What the hell am I talking about? It's Alec Guinness. Anyways, he sounds a lot like Alec Guinness. Well, not a lot. Like, oh my God, he's doing the voice. No. But you can see that Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, he's having notes of Alec Guinness in his voice now. Because this is years after the events of episode 3. I mean, like, you can see in the trailer that Luke is a kid now. He's no longer a baby. Years have passed. Obi-Wan is a little more weathered and everything like that. People were saying, how is it that Obi-Wan went looking from episode 3 to how he looks like in episode 4 in the continuity of the Star Wars universe? I think I heard somewhere, there was a source where they're trying to say that time moves faster in Tatooine than other planets, which cause people to age a lot faster, despite being younger and everything. So I guess, like, you could look like you're in your 60s if you're like 48 or something like that. I don't know. Well, anyways, so yeah, so he I thought that was pretty cool. I like how him and Uncle Owen are still having interactions with each other, like that one scene where he's like, the boy needs to start his training, and then Uncle Owen's like, oh, you're gonna train him the way you trained his father, which I thought was a major burn. Like, holy crap, but you gotta understand, this is coming from a perspective of someone who doesn't know the whole story and how everything happened. So you can't really be like, oh, he shouldn't have said that or anything. That's what he believes. That's what he, in his area, observed it and understood it as. Hold on, give me a second. Oh man, water tastes all good. So, how do you say? You have the Inquisitors there, and I just hope that Obi-Wan, the show, how do you call it, takes the direction of Moon Knight. Sorry, it's my cats around me. Takes the direction that Moon Knight did. But I feel lately, like shows like like Hawkeye, especially Hawkeye, is that despite having their name in the title screen of the show, hold on, get my cat. She loves to eat bags. Move the table real quick. So, despite, how do you say it? Despite having shows with the main character's name as the title, a show like Hawkeye kind of suffered by, how do you say it? Yeah, he was there, but you could tell the show was primarily about Kate Bishop. Primarily Kate Bishop. And it's just like Hawkeye was like her, like somebody who was just trying to help her because she ended up getting the Ronin suit, and people thought that, you know, the Ronin came back and they were gonna like try and, you know, kill her because they thought she was Ronin who did all those stuff, and Hawkeye was just there trying to save her and destroy the suit and then get back to his family for Christmas. But he ended up teaming up with her and becoming kind of like her mentor type of style. But other than that, the show was primarily about her. A lot of the things was about her. Having Black Widow's sister show up, Yelena, I think her name was, show up, and having Kate fight her, you know, it was about Kate. Having, how do you say it, having, crap, what was the other one? I forgot. Well, the last and final bad guy of the show, and spoilers who haven't seen it, the Kingpin, which is reprises role with Vincent D'Onofrio and everything. You know, the guy whose name is on the actual title of the show wasn't the one who fought him. No, it was Kate Bishop. And it was like a lot of the major turning points of the show, a lot of the major plot points, whether Hawkeye was there or not, always primarily focused on Kate Bishop, despite the show being called Hawkeye. So that's why I enjoyed Moon Knight so much. Moon Knight, how do you say it? He, his show focused on him, focused on his mental state, focused on everything. It focused on Moon Knight. Yeah, his wife was there, and yeah, spoilers for the last episode, major spoilers. She became an avatar despite being, you know, she stated temporarily. So let's just see where that leads to. But the show was about Moon Knight. Moon Knight, Mark Spector, Stephen Grant was the main focus of the show, and that's how shows are supposed to be. Yeah, include antagonists. Yeah, include a secondary protagonist, maybe, or maybe just a really good supportive role and everything. But for the namesake of the show, let it be focused on the person the show is named after. I mean, like, that would kind of be annoying if you had a show like Supergirl and you're focusing on Superman majority of the time with dashes of Supergirl in there. It's like, that's not why I'm watching this show. I'm watching it for Supergirl. So it's the same thing. But how do you call it? So that's what I want the Kenobi series to be. Yeah, introduce other Inquisitors. It's gonna be sick. You know, introducing Inquisitors, learning who they are, learning their past, because I think every single one of them were former Jedis. They used to be Jedis. They used to be at the Jedi Temple. They used to know other Jedi Grandmasters and everything, but they fell to the dark side. They either willingly fell to the dark side or they were tortured to fall into the dark side. And they were not considered Siths or Sith apprentices or Sith masters or Sith lords. They were Inquisitors. They were just Sith assassins, or even just assassins. That was it. Like Darth Maul. Darth Maul was a Sith apprentice, but he was primarily a Sith assassin. Yes, Darth Sidious was his master, but Darth Maul wasn't seen as somebody who was gonna be Darth Sidious's successor. Not at all. He was out there to kill Jedi, and that was it. Because the Zabraks, primarily Darth Maul being strong with the dark side of the Force, are prone to extreme violence and are good at it. So how do you call it? So yeah, Darth Maul was just like, never gonna be the successor of Darth Sidious. It was Anakin. And then when Darth Maul was considered deceased, Count Dooku took his place. Despite Count Dooku, there's a good reason why Count Dooku never had Sith eyes, when it turns yellow and everything like that. Like, yeah, time let me say that again. Time to time, there was moments where you would see Count Dooku have Sith eyes because he's tapped into the dark side of the Force. The thing is, the reason he didn't have it all the time, you could see it in the movies, you could see it in the Clone Wars cartoons, you could see it in a lot of different forms of media. The reason Count Dooku didn't really have much yellow Sith eyes like everybody else was because even though Count Dooku was in the dark side, was using the dark side of the Force and everything, Count Dooku wasn't doing it because that's all he wanted to focus on. He just wanted to focus on power. He just wanted to focus on gaining status or anything like that. Count Dooku joined the dark side because he believed there was a lot more, possibilities, and there's a lot more room for improvement tapping into the dark side instead of just purely being a Jedi. He looked through a lot of the flaws of the Jedi Council and the Jedi Temple and everything, and saw that the Jedi were blinding themselves, which ultimately, yeah, he was right. Him and Barriss Offee, which is another story. But, and he was just like, no, you know what? I'm a noble. I'm a count. I have wealth in my name. My name holds power and status. And I am just limited to the Jedi. No. So he moved on to the dark side. Yeah, there were moments where Count Dooku was doing stuff just because, he seemed kind of like messed up and everything, just because he was evil for the sake of being evil. But for the most part, Count was just in a dark side because he knew it gave him more power. That was it, to achieve his political goals. And even Count Dooku himself had an apprentice, Asajj Ventress, but she wasn't considered a successor. He had her with the permission of Darth Sidious, but he wasn't training her to be a Sith apprentice to eventually be a Sith Lord and take Count Dooku down or take Darth Sidious down or anything like that. She was a Sith assassin, just like Darth Maul. She was there to hunt Jedi and kill the Jedi, and that was it. She was never gonna grow, ever. She was just an assassin. So how do you call it? Which is cool because her canon storyline, I think it's her canon storyline, actually gives her a very surprising ending to her story. But how do you call it? Back to my original point. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show needs to be focused primarily on Obi-Wan, his struggles, his problems, his challenges, everything. It's nothing wrong with other characters or telling the stories of other characters as long as it doesn't overshadow Obi-Wan. Because this is the show called Obi-Wan that people want to watch for Obi-Wan. So yeah, that was just my whole thing. Well, anyways, back to the original point about the Force Unleashed. The thing about it is just like I was thinking about. I know I talked about it last time, but I was talking primarily of, that whole thing in Best Buy and all that stuff. This is now going to be more talking about the story and how it used to fit in canon, even though it's no longer canon anymore, and what the how do you call it? What is it called? The retcons that one major thing happened for Galen Merrick, aka Starkiller. And it's like, what do you call it? Thing that kind of bugs me is a retcon that they did for Galen Merrick, Starkiller, was you know, pulling the Star Destroyer from the sky. You know, in the game, even though that mission was just a major pain, the concept of it, the idea of it, was really cool. Like you have Galen Merrick, you have Starkiller. Keep calling him Starkiller because that's a cool name. You have Starkiller, who is very powerful. He's the protagonist for a game called The Force Unleashed. You're here to unleash the Force. And when I went to that launch party back in 2008, that's what everybody who worked on the game was saying about it. It was like, it's time to unleash the Force. You need to unleash the Force and everything. And that's what it was. You need to have the protagonist show that he is capable of unleashing the Force in ways we have never seen before. We know the Force push, we know the Force pull, we know the Jedi mind trick, being able to like move objects around or lift objects. That's really about it. The Force Unleashed opened up a whole new world, a whole new like list of possibilities of what the Force can do. And the fact that it gave us the ability to control it was incredible, you know? So, how do you call it? The whole Star Destroyer thing in that level where you had to pull it out from the sky. The original purpose of that scene was to show you that Starkiller is so powerful. He can grab a Star Destroyer using the Force that is currently in the sky, redirect it and pull it down, and just pull it straight down. And that's what you're doing. You had to redirect the Star Destroyer first to face you, and then literally the last move you have to do with the analog stick is to put both analog sticks down, and you see Starkiller just grab the Star Destroyer with the Force and pull it straight to the planet. And that's what he did. He used the Force to pull down an entire Star Destroyer, and it was sick. It was so cool. And that was just like one of the things that I was just like, this guy is so powerful with the Force. Holy cow. And it was so impressive. But later it was retconned. Why they did it? Probably because they just thought Starkiller was way too powerful to do things like that. But it was retconned. So now the story, before, you know, Disney bought Star Wars, now the story was Starkiller didn't use the Force to rip the Star Destroyer from the sky. No. What was happening was that the Star Destroyer was losing power, was losing the ability to stay flying in the sky and in space and everything, and it was already falling. And all Starkiller did was redirect the position in which the Star Destroyer was falling. So he redirected it more towards where he was at, because where he was at didn't have many, you know, possibility to lose innocent lives. And that was it. Other than that, the Star Destroyer was already falling. He could have just, he only redirected where it was falling. That was it. And that sucked, because we're all like, come on, guys. You took away something so cool as him just absolutely pulling down a Star Destroyer, to just being like, no, he just redirected it. The Star Destroyer was already falling. And I was like, dude, that's weak. That's so weak. But yeah. So, that was a whole retcon thing that annoyed me. The second retcon thing that annoyed me was just the entire Starkiller storyline. That was it. Because it was just like, come on, guys. We were getting like, it was good. I mean, yeah. When you play the game, it's showing its age. Maybe they could have like tweaked the story a lot more, but you got to realize that this is a time where the only other forms of canon media that we had was from the books, and that was it. And The Force Unleashed was the first Star Wars video game of its kind. Yeah, we had KOTOR 2 and everything like that, which is Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. And we had Jedi Academy, but honestly, really, that was about it. The only other game where we were able to actually play as Jedi was Battlefront 2. And I'm not talking about the EA Battlefront 2. I'm talking about like the old GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox Battlefront 2. And 1. Nor was it just 2? I forgot. I just mainly played 2. I only played Battlefront 1 like a few times. Well, anyways, and you already had like a set moves and everything. The Force Unleashed gave you control of which way you slashed your lightsaber. It gave you freedom to choose what Force ability you wanted to use, what you wanted to combo up, what you wanted to chain together. No other game really let you do that, and it was incredible. And it included, for its time, a very cool story. I mean, come on. It wasn't just the fact that you were encouraged to unleash the Force or anything like that. Even though, yes, even a game like that still kind of had to limit it by giving you a Force gauge. But I mean, it refilled pretty fast, and you could upgrade it, I think. But also, it it also started you off as a Sith, and it told you that since the beginning. It was like, this is a game about being a Sith apprentice. You are going in there, nobody could know of your existence. So when you go in there and kill these Jedis, I don't care if you come across like natives. I don't care if you come across rebels or Imperial troopers or anything like that. You kill them all. No witnesses. And that was the whole thing. It was great. So even though you're fighting fourth Darth Vader, the stormtroopers don't know that. They just think you're another Jedi or something. And they're going to try and kill you. And you got to kill them all. And you got to kill the rebels. And sometimes it's like, let them do their jobs for you. Because sometimes you have rebels and troopers that come across each other. So they'll battle each other out. Just let them pick each other off. Just pass through real fast. Or just wait until one side is more victorious than the other. You don't have to fight so much, But yeah, listen to this one right here. Wow. I like it. 14 years this September. That's incredible, guys. 14 years. I love it. It blows my mind. Oh, side note. So, I think like 2 or 3 episodes back, after I finished recording and before I uploaded an episode, I dropped my phantom power, and the red button to turn it on and off fell off, and 2, I think it's just always on now as soon as I plug it in, because when I plug it into my camera, the gauge pops up and it's like, it's on, it's connected, it's processing audio and everything like that. But then, like, on top of that, the problem is coming up again that I try to avoid when I originally bought this mic. It's not the microphone's fault, it's the phantom power, because I dropped it twice, where it's kind of like a slight shh in the back and everything. I'm sure you guys were able to hear it the last 2 or 3 episodes. But yeah, now I gotta buy a new phantom power until I get to see which sound program I can use for my laptop. Give me a second. Let me put on some jammies. Let me see this one. Oh man, this one's sick. I love it. It's kind of like, you guys will hear it throughout the video, but it's really good. So let me just leave it on, actually. You just hear that? Look how good this sounds with these speakers, these Edifier speakers. God damn. And it has some like Mandalorian in the background. The low piano keys. Ooh, so incredible. But yeah, this is the Darth Vader's Lofi beats, Lofi beats, by Star Wars Theory. It's a great channel. You guys should go check them out and subscribe. But how do you call it? So what was I saying before I forgot? Oh yeah, so yeah, it was truly a one of its kind game. You hunted down General Coda, who was a new character, which, if you guys didn't know, when Battlefront 3 was about to release back in like 2010, I think 2009, 2010, the developers just needed to like polish it up a bit, and then they were ready for release before it got completely canceled. Well, anyways, there was this one portion in the story mode where you end up meeting Ram Koda, and what do you call it? It's the same voice actor as the one in the first and second Force Unleashed game. So that was the original game he was going to appear in, but his first appearance in a video game was The Force Unleashed. And so when you hunt out Ram Koda, when you hunt Kazdan Paratus, which is, honestly, I didn't notice it before my first couple of playthroughs until recent, where the arena you fight Kazdan Paratus in Raxus Prime is actually a junkyard recreation of the Jedi Council chambers. You see it. You see the arches for the glass. You see the chairs, and you see that he's made the Jedi Masters who were part of the Council. He made them all out of scraps. He went crazy, Kazdan Paratus. He went insane. He lost everyone. He lost everything. Everything he loved and knew crumbled right before his very eyes, and he had to go into exile. He had to go into hiding, and he just lost it all. And he just coped with it by trying to recreate, his old Jedi buddies, the old Jedi Masters and the Council. Well, anyways, you finally defeat him. He becomes one with the Force. And then after that, it's Shaak Ti, which is hilarious because she's actually died like how many, like 4 or 5 different ways. She was supposed to die in Revenge of the Sith. They actually had 2 cutout scenes, both of them, one in the beginning when Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to find Grievous and the Chancellor and Dooku, and the second time in Revenge of the Sith during the Jedi Temple during Order 66. And how do you call it? It was insane both the times, because the first one, it was actually filmed out completely. Like, I think all the CGI was done. They just cut it off from the movie, and it was just her captured by the droids and by General Grievous, and General Grievous ends up stabbing her with a lightsaber in the back, and she and she dies. The second time, it wasn't finished CGI or anything like that. Honestly, the second half of her falling to her falling down because she died was literally just reused from the from when General Grievous killed her. But the second time for the movie was when they were executing Order 66, and they were in the Jedi Temple, and Anakin walks in. And here's the thing: Shaak Ti is supposed to be a decent Jedi, meditating. The Clone Wars established that she was training the clones in Kamino, but in the movie she was meditating in the chambers. You didn't hear any of the blasters outside. You didn't hear people fighting, yelling. I'm assuming there was a lot of yelling. You didn't hear explosions, because I assume there's a lot of explosions. You didn't hear any of that? Are all the rooms in the temple just soundproof? Because Anakin walks in and she's just meditating. It's not like she's meditating to be like hella cool and stuff and be like, Skywalker, I knew this day would come. And then she slowly rises up, takes off her robe, ignites her lightsaber, is just ready to fight him. No, it's none of that. Like, she sounds like an annoyed older sister, because she's like just sitting there meditating. He walks in and she goes, "What is it, Skywalker?" And then he just stabs her, and then she dies. And I'm like, what the hell, you know? And I was like, that was weird. The third way was established in the Star Wars Lego games when you hit episode 3, because it was when Obi-Wan and Yoda get to the Jedi Temple and they sift through the their security footage. I think it was like the holocrons or something like that, their Jedi footage, and they see that like Anakin sneaks behind Shakti and just completely breaks her apart. So that's the third way she died. The fourth way was basically they made a canon for for the way she died in episode 3 by Anakin's hand, because the fourth way they showed her die was way towards the end of Star Wars The Clone Wars, in season 6, I believe, towards the end of season 6, when Yoda, after he talks to Darth Bane and everything like that, after they officially made Darth Bane canon, when he's having visions trying to confront his own dark side and everything, he sees a lot of visions of what's going to happen, what's the biggest possibility for the future. And in one of the visions, you see Master Shakti die exactly the way she did in that unfinished scene that was cut out for Revenge of the Sith, when she was just meditating and Anakin comes from right behind and just stabs her. So that made it canon as far as we know. Now, honestly, officially, that's the only finished scene, like that was completely finished and released when the episode aired out, of Shakti dying. Then you had the fifth way, which is in The Force Unleashed, except The Force Unleashed actually did her more justice, to be honest. One, she looks way different than she did in every other Star Wars rendition. But two, it was just like they did her more justice in that one, because this one, she fleed to Felucia, took an apprentice and everything who was called Mare's Brood, and trying to teach her the ways of the Jedi. Oh crap, you listen to this? It's my theme song. It's so good, I swear. You guys really need to listen to this. This is so good. Oh my god, it just hits differently. So especially with these speakers. So anyways, she has Mare's Brood. She's teaching her the way of the Force, the way of the Jedis, trying to like rebuild what they had formerly. And keep in mind, this is before the Inquisitors were ever even a thing. And she's in Felucia. That's the first time we could ever really, I think it's the first time actually, where we could really explore Felucia and everything. You can do it in Battlefront 2 for the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, but it wasn't to that degree. It wasn't to that level, you know? In Battlefront 2, you had a mission to do. Here, yes, you have mission to do, and it's kind of linear, but it lets you interact with more wildlife, with more plants, with more this, with more that, and everything. It shows you that this planet, even when you don't see like physical creatures there, everything in this planet is alive. Everything in this planet serves a purpose for the planet, and it's insane. No wonder his troopers hated getting stationed there and everything. But yeah, so it was just she actually got up, and while you were fighting her, she was actually trying to tell you, like, listen, you know, Vader is gonna betray you. He's done that to everybody. That's what the Sith does and everything. And like all the other Jedi Masters before then, were telling Starkiller the same exact thing. They were like, listen, dude, you're gonna get betrayed. He's gonna throw you aside. Trust me. But you know, that's the beauty of Starkiller. He's still young when all that was happening. He was still very young. And when you're young and you're not really experienced with the real world, when you're sheltered, because trust me, Starkiller was sheltered. Like, yeah, he was the apprentice of Darth Vader, but the only firm hand he's received was from Vader, and that was it. That's different than actually going out there and doing things for reals, legit, and everything. So he was still pretty naive. He grew up, and majority of his life, that's all he knew, was listening to Vader, obeying his master. So of course he didn't want to hear any of it. He was just like, man, lies, because he believed Darth Vader was in his corner all the time. Later on, we found out he wasn't. But yeah, so they actually did her justice there. She actually, you know, gave a good battle. That was sick ass quick time events and everything. Ultimately, she was just like, yeah, you know, I hope you find your way. And then she just dives back into the Sarlacc pit and just dies, becomes one with the Force. And Mara's Brood, I mean, you come back to the planet later and you realize that the planet is just filled with dark side energy now. And you realize that because Mara's Brood was scared and angry that, no, not even angry. Well, she was angry. She wasn't angry or scared because her master died. She believed her master abandoned her. Because before you go fight Shaak Ti tells Mara's Brood to run, and she's going to see her later, but just to run. So Mara's Brood ran. Of course, Shaak Ti died and become one of the Force. And she wasn't able to go back to Mara's Brood. Now, I don't know why, because I thought Force Ghosts were allowed to do that. Well, Mara's Brood believed that Shaak Ti abandoned her, never came back for her. And she got mad, and she got scared, she got sad, but she got mad. And all those three emotions are a huge way to lead you into the dark side. And that's when she started going into the dark side, tapping into the dark side power, the dark side potential. And it was incredible. You come back to Felucia, and the planet is filled with dark side energy. From the plants to the native Felucians. Even the Felucians physically look ugly. They look damaged. They look just absolutely drained. Yeah, they weren't much lookers when Shaak Ti was around. But because the planet was now being influenced through the dark side from Mara's Brood, the Felucians just physically had their appearances changed, and it was insane. I think there's concept art for it too, so do yourself a favor and check it out. But yeah, that's what happened. And how do you say it? I don't know. I don't know. It was just, that's just how it was. And you of course defeat Mara's Brood, but I think that was one of the turning points for Starkiller, because, you know, you had Coda, Kazan Paratus, and Shaak Ti all telling you that Vader and the Sith are going to betray you, because that's what they do. And you're meant for so much more than the dark side. But you don't listen. You don't listen. And in the result, you end their lives. But now you have Mara's Brood, someone who is not as knowledgeable as you in lightsaber combat, in the uses of the Force, who is just fighting with her emotions and her fear and her anger. In the end of the fight, you best her. It's not even a challenge, you know, for Starkiller. But then, when you have her on the ropes, when she's there begging for mercy, pleading for her life, Starkiller from the beginning of the game would have just struck her down like, screw you. But this Starkiller just stared at her. And he felt sympathy. He felt sorrow. He was just like, you're mad and you fell into this because I killed your master. And yet you're blaming her. And he ended up just letting her go. She said she was going to promise to turn her back to the dark side, but honestly, after that, her story didn't even expand. At least to my knowledge, they didn't do anything else with Mara's Brood, even though I feel like there was potential in some way. but I think that was just the end of her story at that point, because soon after that, like I think like 2-3 years later, Disney bought Star Wars and just completely retconned the extended universe. But yeah, all the planets you visit prior, freaking Raxus Prime and Felucia, I think Cloud City. Do you visit Cloud City? I forgot. You come back to them, and they all look different after you defeat, the Jedis. Mainly Felucia, though. So, how do you say it? Yeah, the game was engaging. It was fun. Honestly, I enjoyed trying to get all the holocrons, even though some of them, it was just like, yeah, it was platforming. It was like using the force sprint, or the force dash, better said, and everything. It would still be a major challenge if you just don't jump and dash in the right angle. So you would fall and have to do it all over again. It would get frustrating. So you either move on, you just quit the game for a while, and then you try it again later on. But two of my favorite things that I loved that you had to get a holocron for. One was in Raxus Prime, like off the beaten path. You had to use the force to move these platforms down, to bend them from their curled position, to lay them flat enough for you to be able to jump on them. And off in the distance, there's a holocron. Once you get to the holocron, it unlocks the Sith robes. And let me tell you, the Sith robes were my favorite thing to wear in the entire game. My absolute favorite. But later on, I believe in a TIE fighter factory, I think aboard an Imperial ship, if I'm not mistaken, there was another holocron that when you platform and dash and all this stuff, and you finally manage to reach the holocron, it gives you the black saber crystal. Now, the black saber crystal doesn't give you any special abilities, any special, power-ups or anything like that. It's just a black lightsaber. You know how many lightsabers are have a white center with like a blue hue or a green hue or purple hue, basically to symbolize that it's what color it is and everything. This lightsaber is different, because this lightsaber, instead of a white color in the middle and then like a colored hue around it, it was a black in the middle with a white hue around it to distinguish it that this is a black saber and everything. This is a black lightsaber. And it was insane, because I don't think many people know this. Well, at least not many of the modern Star Wars fans, unless they go back to replay the game and getting collectibles and everything. That was the black lightsaber before Star Wars ever introduced the dark saber. I think the dark saber made its appearance, I think, in 2010. If not, let me look it up. When did the dark saber make its appearance? When did the dark saber first appear? Okay. Yeah, January 29th, 2010. I think I said this before. So this was literally, well, I came out in September. So this is a year and 4 months before the Clone Wars introduced the Darksaber, the official black lightsaber. Because the one in the Force Unleashed game, it was shaped like exactly a regular lightsaber, except it was black. How do you say it? But the Darksaber was, shaped more like a sword and everything. And so that became the official only black lightsaber in the Star Wars canon universe nowadays. And I'm not mad at it. I just like knowing that that's not the original, So like just like Boba Fett in the Book of Boba, finally showing how he escaped and everything like that, what happened to him after. Yeah, that's canon, but that's not the original way Boba Fett came out. If you read the extended universe books, give me a second. Super good. So the Sith robes, and the black lightsaber. An insane combo. And the thing that kind of gets me, how do you say it? Like, you could do it in the Force Unleashed 2, but it would have been cool if we could do it on the first one too. You know, on the Force Unleashed 2, it allows you to dual wield lightsabers. And in the Force Unleashed 2, you can change each lightsaber's crystal. So you could have one orange, you could have one blue, you could have one green, you could have one red, you can have all these different colors for your lightsabers. And you can, in that one also, you get to unlock the black the black lightsaber and everything. Even though that one, the game came out in 2010 also, but it came out after the Darksaber was established. But since, you know, the black lightsaber was a thing in the first Unleashed game, it's now they just brought it back for the second one. But you weren't able to get the Sith robes in the second Force Unleashed. The first Force Unleashed, you had the Sith robes. And if you had two lightsabers, you could have one red and one black. Oh my God, can you imagine the fear you would strike into people's hearts just dual wielding both those sabers? You just know you're so bad and everything. It's like, it was amazing. Well, yeah. And what was I saying? Something that the Force Unleashed games had in the Wii version, the PS2 version, and everything, was you can customize your lightsaber hilt. See, Starkiller had this iconic lightsaber hilt where it was how do you call it, the hilt along with these three jagged things coming out from where, closer to the end where the lightsaber comes out, pointing upward. And it looked good. It looked really good. It just fit into the aesthetic of what Starkiller was, and it was such a unique looking lightsaber hilt. I mean, I think they recreated it now with other characters, but that lightsaber at that point was just known for Starkiller. And the point of the story is that the Force Unleashed game is good. It's still good. Like, yeah, it shows its age. It shows its age entirely, but it's a game that, at least to me, I still enjoy playing whenever I boot it up and everything. Still have them both saved on my Xbox. I still have the original discs. The autographed parts are with my family back home and everything. I just have pictures of them because, you know, they'll take care of it better than I can, unless I frame it and hang it up. But how do you say it? Yeah, no, it was a fun game to play. And to be honest, it's just like a game similar to that I can think of right now, where you could have the possibilities you were able to have with the Force Unleashed, even though just not to that level. What is the Jedi Fallen Order? You know, with Cal Kestis. I feel like if you bring that style of gameplay, but you apply the Force Unleashed to it, it would be a bestseller. Like, a lot of people compare the Fallen Order to like a Dark Souls, Sekiro type of gameplay and everything, which I can see it and all that stuff. But it's just, I feel like it would be better utilized with Starkiller if they ever made Starkiller canon. The only canon Starkiller we have now is Starkiller Base, which is what was introduced and later destroyed in episode what was it, episode 7. Yeah, it sucked. I was so mad when I went to go see it in theaters, and I'm like, I'll just go to Starkiller Base, and I was like, oh my God, are you serious? That's what you did with such an iconic, powerful character. Which in a way I understand as to why they didn't go with bringing Starkiller to the canon universe, or the Disney canon universe now, because it's just like, how do you justify somebody that powerful? Like, really, how do you? This is a man who gave the works to Darth Vader himself. If you guys played Fallen Order, you would notice that, what was it? Was it the seventh sister? Let me see. The seventh sister. No. Guys, what was her name? here, let me just I'm using Google right now, I'm sorry, but thank you for your patience. Jedi Fallen Order, the second sister, right? Yes. Okay, the second sister. So how do you call it, at the end of Fallen Order, you don't see Darth Vader at any point in the game until the very end. And everybody is stunned as soon as they hear his breathing. And when he walks up and he gets behind the second sister, you can hear and see the fear in her. Because Darth Vader is just a fierce and powerful character. He's a tank. Everybody is scared of him. Even those who put on a brave face and try and take him off, they're still scared of him. He is an unstoppable force, you know, until he meets Starkiller or his master. But how do you call it? Even in the Star Wars comics, when Darth Vader is tasked to train the Inquisitors, and the Inquisitors, you know, like, don't believe he's powerful or anything like that, and like think they're better than him. Darth Vader, you know, teaches them all who he is, and by fighting every single one of them and cutting off each of their, like, one of their limbs of every single one of them, they all lose a hand, they all lose an arm, and he does that to show them that he is the most powerful one there, and to teach them loss. This is what he can do, and he could do a lot worse if he wasn't holding back like he was when he was fighting them. And the fact that you have Starkiller not only fight him, but put Vader on the ropes, like legitimately put Vader on the ropes. Starkiller, if you chose the what the heck? I think it was, if you chose the good ending, you were able to kill Darth Vader only. Oh wait, no, was it the bad ending? Which ending was it? Hold on. It's been a while. Hold on. Force Unleashed endings. This song is super good. Ba-no. Okay, so I guess if you choose the bad ending and everything, you end up killing Vader, you know? Like, you do end up killing Vader, but how do you call it? You become the Darth Sidious's apprentice and everything. Well, not apprentice, you just become a tool until he finds a new apprentice. If you choose the good ending, Darth Vader's still alive, but you die. So yeah. And yeah, that's how powerful Starkiller is. Starkiller can just take the Force and amplify it. The things you can do in both games. Oh wow, you hear all that outside? The things you can do in both games, it's insane with the Force. The Force, it's just, you're like, how can you do all of this? It makes no sense, because you're just that powerful, you're just that strong, and it's awesome. How can you bring that to the current canon universe of Star Wars? You can't. And no wonders they had to kill Starkiller off so fast in the first game. Because imagine if Starkiller was able to be released from the clutches of Vader, put the dark side behind him, and keep moving forward. You know how unstoppable the rebellion would be? The Emperor, Vader, would have a hit put on Starkiller's head more than anyone else. That's insane. That's insane. And I thought about it, but it's just like, news that I heard is, one of the rumors was that for the Inquisitors, when they were established to be a thing that Vader used, a tool to hunt down the Jedi, the remaining Jedi, they were thinking of adding Starkiller, like actual Force Unleashed Starkiller, in Star Wars Rebels as one of the Inquisitors. If they had done that, I would have been conflicted, because I would just be like, cool, Starkiller's canon now. But I also would have been like, wow, they did him dirty. This is not good for the legacy of what is Starkiller. But so that was one rumor that I heard, or one thing that I heard. But another thing that kind of annoyed me was the fact that a lot of people were saying, since the release of, Star Wars Rogue One, which is a good movie, I enjoyed it. Since the release of that movie, they were like, yeah, there's really no room for, if they decided to make Force Unleashed canon, if they decided to make Starkiller canon, there's no room for him to have the story he had in the video game. Absolutely none whatsoever. He can't do that anymore. And it's like, why? And it's like, because Rogue One happened. Okay, what about it? And it's like, the rebellion started getting established at that point. My whole thing is this: Rogue One didn't establish the rebellion. Rogue One wasn't a movie about them beginning the rebellion against the Empire. No, Rogue One was a movie about a girl who had nothing to do with the Empire or the rebels have to grow up fighting against the Empire, or being against the Empire. The ultimate plot point of the movie was to get, the plans that the Empire had, and bring it to the rebellion. That was it. There had to have been a rebellion already established for the rebellion to already be a thing through the movie. You see, the movie ends with the plans finally making it from the ship to Leia. And as soon as it cuts out, that's where episode 4 begins. That was it. The rebellion had long been established before then. And which story in the old canon universe was the rebellion began? The Force Unleashed. The rebellion was just supposed to be a thing that Darth Vader had you go out and create in order to form a distraction for the Emperor, while Darth Vader trained you so you can be strong enough for both of you guys to take on the Emperor and kill him, so Darth Vader could take his place and you could take your place by his side, or so he told you. But that was about it. You went out to form the rebellion. You sensed that Ram Koda was still alive. You went and found him. You grabbed him. You went to save Bella Organa. You did all this stuff. You went to Kashyyyk to get Princess Leia. You saved the Wookiees. You did all of this stuff. Everything. You were the one who formed the rebellion. Even though it was supposed to originally just be a distraction and everything to distract the Emperor, that was the origins. You indirectly created the rebellion. You indirectly were responsible for inspiring so many people to fight the oppression that was the Empire. And in the end, when you choose the light side ending, when you sacrifice yourself to save Bella Organa, Princess Leia, was it Grand Mothma or something like that? Man, what was her name? See, I feel like a dummy. Yeah, Mon Mothma. I was gonna say Grand Mothma. What the hell? Mon Mothma and General Koda. You're the one going out there to save them and everything. When you choose to finally save them, but sacrifice yourself, when the game ends and everybody's forming a circle in a building in Kashyyyk, was it Kashyyyk? Yeah, it was Kashyyyk. Yeah, it was Kashyyyk. Yep. You realize that they're all like, we need a symbol to rally everyone behind for this rebellion. And they're like, it's only appropriate to use this one. And what did they expose? They exposed the symbol that is iconic for being the symbol of the rebellion, which the game established to be Starkiller's family crest. Starkiller, Galen Merrick, the Merrick family, that is their family crest. And they decided to use it for the rebellion and in your honor. And that is how the rebellion started. It's a lot more detailed in the game, trust me. But that is how the rebellion started. Rogue One didn't establish the rebellion. It didn't begin the rebellion. That has yet to be seen. I still think there's potential for bringing Force Unleashed and Starkiller into the Star Wars universe. I mean, I hate to say this, but if they have to, like, you know, like power down Starkiller, I totally understand it. I completely understand it. And I mean, like, it's already established that Shakti died in the temple. So maybe replace her with another Jedi who's just as powerful or anything like that. But yeah, no, just how do you say it? I just want the Force Unleashed to be brought into canon. Hold on, let me who could he fight? Who can he fight? Who do you guys think, like, Starkiller? I mean, not Starkiller. If the Force Unleashed were to be canon, who would replace Shakti? Because they already how do you say it? Killed off Shakti in canon already. So I don't know. I'm just looking at my phone right now, just trying to find who. You know what I think? Who I think? Oppo Rancisis. OPPO RANCISIS. Oppo Rancisis. I think he should replace Shakti if they ever made Force Unleashed canon. Because it was a good story, dude. It was a very good story. Like, you got to see, like, if they did, you were able to see Darth Vader more in action. You were seeing more of the Empire and what they're capable of. You were able to see more planets. You're able to see, like, the Wookiees being slaves. They were enslaving Wookiees. That's insane. Like, the Clone Wars already talked about like their equivalent of human trafficking, of slavery. They already talked about, you know, drug running, drug trades, crime syndicates, and everything. Things that happen in real life. And since they touched upon that, how about we let the world see that the Empire was more than willing to kidnap and enslave Wookiees, to have them work, manual work, for the Empire. That would be sick. That would be really cool. Dun, 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 dun. So it's such a good type of music. Excuse me. Yeah, I believe that would be honestly a thing that I would love to see. And yeah, that's really that's really I had to offer. Well, my thoughts about it. But yeah, no, it's just there's so much in the Star Wars universe that has yet to be tapped into. There's so much capabilities. There's so much possibilities for great storylines that fans have created that has already been established, you know? I mean, like, in the end of the Solo movie, you realize that Maul is still alive. He has his own syndicate. So where are they going to go with that? You know, in live action, Maul is still alive. This is clearly before he even finds Obi-Wan in Tatooine, and this is before Obi-Wan is even old. Like, honestly, seeing how when him and Obi-Wan had their final battle before, you know, Obi-Wan became victorious, In the Obi-Wan show, you see Obi-Wan is still relatively young. He doesn't look the way he did in episode 6. Or, my bad, in episode 4. He's still young. And at that point, Maul is still alive. Maul has yet to locate Obi-Wan. Maul should be in the show. That's my whole thing. Oh, Hayden Christensen. He's back as Darth Vader, and the end of the trailer shows him kind of get put together. Him and Ewan McGregor on the screen again as their characters. That'd be incredible. That is incredible, actually, because it's happening. But yeah, so it's just like there's so much to do. There's so much to get done, and the Star Wars universe has so much possibilities. For people who aren't really into Star Wars, this episode is gonna be hella boring, but these are my thoughts about it. My boy loves Halo, and honestly, I like Halo too, but he like knows the lores and everything like that. I really got to get more into that. I haven't even watched the show yet on Paramount yet, but that's just me. So since that's really my thoughts on the whole Starkiller Force Unleashed thing should be canon. Man, 14 years old. It's going to be 14 years old. This is September. That's how old I was when the game came out. That's insane. Well, anyways, the whole thing with Moon Knight. Moon Knight is another show that's just, I love it. Spoilers. Anybody hasn't watched the show yet, I'm gonna spoil it. So in the comics, spoilers again. In the comics, like I said in the other episodes about Moon Knight, Mark Spector has 2 other personas since the beginning, really. One was Jake Lockley. One was Stephen Grant, which, we've been seeing for the entire season so far. And the other one was Jake Lockley. Jake Lockley has not made his appearance at all. So everybody's like, what the hell? Jake Lockley's not going to be a thing. They're not going to establish Jake. In the 4th episode, towards the end, when Mark is losing his mind, he sees one coffin just shaking, like something's alive in it. And he runs, but then he sees a second coffin, and he hears Steven's voice coming out of it. So he opens it up, and there's Stephen Grant. And they're like, oh my god, and everything. And yeah, people were speculating, like, 1, where's Jake Lockley? 2, if Stephen Grant was in that coffin, or in that sarcophagus, who was in the other one that Mark didn't open, So when the events of the final episode took place and everything like that, and Khonshu honored his deal in letting Mark and Jake go and everything, I knew it was going to be kind of like a genie thing, like, hey, be careful how you wish for something or what you wish for and everything, because it might be taken too literal, or you might be giving something, I don't know, in another sense of the word. Like, if you have a genie and you're like, I wish for $1 million and everything like that, you will get literally $1 million, the animal bucks. So what do you call it? In this one, Khonshu honored his deal. As we see, he let Mark and Steven go. They're free. They're no longer Khonshu's avatar of vengeance at all. So how do you call it? I knew, like classic Marvel, there was going to be an end credit scene. That's exactly what we got. Is an end credit scene. You see, something I said in the first episode of Mando was Oscar Isaac is Guatemalan. Well, he's half Guatemalan, half Cuban. I'm Guatemalan. He speaks Spanish. I speak Spanish. And I figured, like, they're going to do something with that. And I was right. Because we went the entire show with just Stephen Grant and Mark Spector. So in the end, when you have Harrow in the back of the car, because he's in a mental institute now, you have Harrow in the back of the car and he's talking to Khonshu, and then Khonshu just does a little sneaky and he goes, "Yeah, I let Mark and Jake go, but you got to realize Mark is a lot more broken than he thinks he is." And he introduces Jake Lockley. Jake Lockley is the man who grabbed Harrow and took him out of that mental institute and everything. But the thing that I love is this. In the comics, Jake Lockley is just a cab driver, driving around in the bad parts of New York and everything like that, wherever he's at, trying to find more information while disguising himself as a cab driver. Just going through the slums. Jake Lockley in the show appears to just be a driver, but it's added extra the fact that they made Oscar Isaac speak Spanish when he's Jake Lockley, as far as we know. So that's why when he grabbed the wheelchair and one of the nurses, she was like, "Oh, what?" And then he was like, "No te preocupes, mamacita, chiquita, mira, cálmate," and everything. It was like, "Oh, what?" And he goes, "Hoy es su día de perder." And it's just like, what? That's insane. That's insane. You had Mark Spector, the military man, the mercenary who was betrayed. Then you have Stephen Grant, Leis Gaius, speaking like he's speaking in like the English, the Queen's English. I can't do that UK accent. Maybe it's a good thing they got him instead of me. You know? How does he say it? "Hello, everybody. Leis Gaius," or something like that. They don't pronounce their T's, right? Leis Gaius or some shit. No, that's Australian and everything. But then you have Jake Lockley, who is now the guy who speaks Spanish. It's like, what? You know, it's like, what? It's insane. It's insane. And I love it. I love it. If they start making him talking like, they're not going to make him talk in the Chicano accent, you know? Like, they're not going to start like, let me see if I can start doing it. I got to like think about some stuff and start really getting to the accent and everything like that. Like, they're not going to like slowly try and heighten up his voice and make him talk like pretty fast and like, how do you say it? Like, they're not gonna make him talk like, "Hey, fool. Nah, this fool's trying to mess with me, dog." He's not gonna do like that stuff or anything like that. It seems like he's just gonna be more of he speaks Spanish, but he just tries to sound as serious as possible when he's speaking English, you know? Maybe not like a Spaniard. I don't know. But, yeah. So, I'm excited for that. Although sad news saying that, at first they were saying, yeah, Oscar Isaac is, only going to be doing Moon Knight. That was it, you know? And it's like, all right, well, let's see how far they'd make it with Moon Knight. Second season, maybe some movies here and there, you know? But then what I read today was Oscar Isaac. Well, you know how news articles try and make it sound more dramatic than anything when they report something? They're like, "Oh, it's no good news for the future of Moon Knight." Like, there's Oscar Isaac is stating that there's not going to be a future for Moon Knight or something. But then you actually read the actual like quote of what Oscar Isaac said, and what Oscar Isaac said is that hey, we told a story that we wanted to tell. We don't know. We don't have plan. We don't know where a future story would go. But for right now, there's no plans for a season 2. You know? That's about it. But my whole thing is, Khonshu, when he manipulated the night sky and everything, don't you think a character like Doctor Strange would kind of find that odd and not want to investigate? That's my whole thing. But on top of that, it's like, how do you say it? I believe there's going to be a very strong possibility that a season 2 of Moon Knight is going to come out, because you can't just be like, yeah, no, what do you call it? The whole adventures of Mark Spector and Jake Lockley. I mean, Mark Spector and Stephen Grant, and then at an end credit scene at the last episode, you introduce Jake Lockley. It's like, we want to see Moon Knight. That's the reason people love seeing Moon Knight. That's what they did with The Punisher when they canceled season 2. When they canceled The Punisher after season 2, it's like the first and second season. First season was battling his past. The second season was just battling more stuff that was kind of like annoying. You know, I didn't really like it. But in the end, in the very, very final of the episode of season 2, here comes Frank Castle as the Punisher we all wanted to see since the very beginning, as a man who's just going out there, finding criminals and ending them. That's the Punisher we wanted, because that's the Punisher we know. And we got it for all of 5 seconds, and then the show was canceled. And people wanted, well, to be fair, not many people knew about Moon Knight until the show was announced. But fans of Moon Knight since the comics tune in to see Moon Knight because they want to see Moon Knight that they saw in the comics, but in live action now. They want to see a man used as Khonshu's avatar of vengeance. They want to see the man who has the mental problems, who is battling within himself, in his mind, as he is in the real world. Moon Knight has such potential, has such great possibilities to just be this character that just is iconic. I know for Halloween this October, everybody's gonna be dressing as Moon Knight. Everybody. Nobody is gonna not be Moon Knight. I mean, hell, I want to be Moon Knight. You know, it's just Moon Knight has given that much impact. I have yet to really see negative reviews overpower the positive, because I've been a Moon Knight fan for years. Even my comic channel proves it. I've talked about Moon Knight before he was even that mainstream. And what do you call it? Fans love him. I love him. Nobody watches something like about Batman, and then when finally they establish his origin and his start, once Bruce Wayne officially becomes Batman in his first outing, they don't just show that and then cancel his show. No, what? They want to see Batman do Batman stuff. People want to see Moon Knight do Moon Knight stuff. People want to see Punisher do Punisher stuff. That's what they did with Daredevil in the Netflix series. They built up Matt to finally don the mantle of Daredevil when he created it. And guess what? Season 2, they gave it to us. In the end of season 1, they gave it to us. And then season 2 was him being Daredevil. And then season 3, it was about conflict, but it was beautifully done. But in the Defenders, he was Daredevil. It was a great show. Truly a great show. That's how it needs to be done. I want a season 2 of Moon Knight. I want it. Midnight. They mentioned Bushman by name, but that's about it. They established that Bushman did the same exact thing he did in the comics. I loved it. They should have done it, you know. Moon Knight has such great stories, even though they're kind of weird, but he has great stories. You know what's great fun? Well, great fun. You know what's really cool? Is the fact that, you know, they showed Moon Knight gliding, and I guess that's due to his suit in the show and everything like that. His suit is magical. In the comics, he has no powers, except it was widely believed, and I think for a while it was true, that Moon Knight, Mark Spector, he gained power, like to be stronger, faster, and everything like that, depending on what the moon was in the night sky. The moon was half full, was a crescent, you know, he'd be kind of stronger, but that's about it. If it was full moon, he was the strongest he was and everything. But, you know, he was never able to fly unless he had his moon glider. But, yeah. Honestly, I think this is going to be the longest episode yet. I like had a full battery. Now I have only like 24 minutes left. And from judging from what my camera's telling me right now, I already ran through an hour and 24 minutes of just speaking. And honestly, I have a lot more to say. It's just time, I gotta charge this battery up, and then yeah. But thank you guys. Thank you all very much for tuning in to hear me just ramble on and on and on for over an hour about nerdy stuff. Thank you all for tuning into another episode of Mando. Almost said my other channel name. Tuning in for another episode of The Mind of Mando. I hope all of you guys have a great day, have great work shifts, and have great everything. Take it easy, guys. See ya.